He grabs the suit, puts it on, and loses the instructions.
I'm already in.
Great show. I mean, it was cheesy 80s stuff.
I'm already invested. I like the cheesy 80s, though. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, excellent. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Magic Stew. I'm Kyle, joined, of course, by the illustrious Liam Duffy. Cheers, sir. And we are back for another Ixalan Hot Seat. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, here's a little bit about how it works. Liam has selected 5 uncommons from Rivals of Ixalan. I have not seen these uncommons before. I don't know what he is selecting, but he's going to pick 5 of them out for me. I am going to give you a rating from 1 through 5 based on how well or how good they perform in draft. And that's pretty much it. A 1 is the absolute worst. Something like Ashes of the Abhorrent. And a 5 is the absolute best. Something like Vraska, Relic Seeker, or Charging Monster Sword. Something along those lines. Just a truly excellent card at almost any stage of the game. So bombs are super hard to evaluate, but a 5 is hard to get. 1 is easy to get. But that's a little bit about how we do it. And if you would like to, however, you can check out the entire Rivals of Ixalan and Ixalan Hot Seat playlist, linked by her, if it so interests you. So if you want to catch up, that's where you go to do it. You ready to jump into this, man?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Our first card for today is Stormfleet Swashbuckler, which is 2 mana for a 2/2, which is 1 colorless and a red for a 2/2 human pirate creature. It has Ascend, which is if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. And Stormfleet Swashbuckler has double strike as long as you have the City's Blessing. This is a phenomenal card, and I'm actually going to quote probably the best limited player on the planet right now, which is Ben Stark, who does Channel Fireball's Pack 1 Pick 1s, where he was talking about the importance of 2-drops in Rivals of Ixalan. Now, I am a huge proponent of drafting on mana curve, but even I will admit that in this set, 2-drops are far less important than they have been traditionally, solely because the games in this set seem to drag on a little bit longer. Now, with that in mind, 2-drops that don't contribute in some relevant way in the late game generally are not a high pick, but Stormfleet Swashbuckler is. It can give you the City's Blessing, which is absolutely amazing if you have other City's Blessing cards. So, for example, if you're worried about getting board wiped, you can play this, get your City's Blessing token, which you keep for the rest of the game, and then it doesn't matter what happens to the rest of your permanents. So if you ever draw into those high-quality other City's Blessing cards that you need, you can do that. But mostly, we're here to talk about the double strike. A 2-mana creature that trades up with a 4 toughness creature is huge. It works incredibly well with things like Tilanali's Crown, which give it trample. And on the times that you're not going to do it, it's just a 2/2 on curve. This is actually a 3. This is a very strong card. I would not be remiss to see one of these 3rd or 4th pick. I think that's totally all right. I might even pick it first if the pack is especially weak, but it deserves a 3. I think it's a very strong card.
Let's clarify something also.
One of the things yes, absolutely.
In an instance where you have Tilanali's Crown on this
Yes.
card, okay? So when it comes to trample and double strike,
Yes.
if we could, let's say that this is being blocked by something with that's a 1/1.
So a good way of dealing with this, right? Assuming that with Tilanali's Crown, which for those of you who don't know, we'll put a graphic up of Tilanali's Crown as well, but it's +3/+0, and the creature gains trample, essentially. So with double strike, this card will be doing 10 points of trample damage, regardless of anything else. Now, granted, there are other ways you can interact with it, like if you kill it in response to being blocked or whatever, it's not going to go through and do the damage. But you can treat this as having 10 power. So if you blocked with a 1 toughness creature, you would be taking 9 points of damage. If you blocked with a 4 toughness creature, you'd be taking 6 points of damage, and so on and so forth. But that's a good point of clarification. But again, gets a 3.0 for me. Stormfleet Swashbuckler, stellar card. One I'm happy to have in almost every single one of my red decks. I think I'll play every single copy, to be honest. If I had 6 of these in a red deck, I'd probably play 6 of them, and I probably wouldn't play any other 2-drops. but I mean, hey, a fleet of Skidooch, a fleet of 2/2 for double strike is pretty good. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, let's check it out. We have Sea Red, which is 1 in a red for an enchantment aura. It says enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+1 in first strike. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't attack with a creature this turn, sacrifice Sea Red. This is actually a really interesting one. Auras are still relatively good in this set. They're actually, I think, better in Rivals of Ixalan than they were in regular Ixalan.
I would agree.
Solely because the games go longer. Now, the trade-off with that is there's a lot better removal in this block. So it's not like in Rivals or in regular Ixalan where you just enchanted a guy with one one with the wind, and then, good luck with your fire cannon blast. So they're obviously things like Water Knot, Divine Verdict, Impale, Moment of Craving, these cards are very real and they exist. But auras are still excellent, and Sea Red is no exception to that. Being able to sort of give an aggressive creature +2/+1 and then first strike on top of that is huge. One of the big problems with some auras, like for example Swashbuckling, is that it allows Death Touch creatures or stuff like that to sort of trade combat trick wise. If you pumped up a low power creature, like let's say you have a 5/5 that's attacking in, you enchant a 3/3 with Swashbuckling. They block with their 3/3 against your 5/5, and then they crash the ramparts it for +3/+3. But First Strike in a lot of ways takes care of some of those problems, which is excellent. The other big thing that's important to note, and I see a lot of players make the mistake with Sea Red, is that you don't have to attack with the creature that is enchanted with Sea Red. The clause states that you just have to attack with a creature this turn, which means if it is advantageous for you to do so, or if you have a clean attack, you can attack with like a flyer or something and keep your guy on the ground that has Sea Red attached to them. So again, something that I just see some players doing. They don't read the clause in the card, but it's important to note. I would rank this at a 2. Maybe even a 2.5 if you're going to get aggressive, but in a vacuum, I'm going to give it a 2. It's a strong enchantment. I would certainly prefer something along the lines of like Squire's Devotion, I think, more. I would definitely want One with the Wind more if I'm going to choose auras. But Sea Red is still a fine addition. It's just that somebody has to attack each turn clause hurts it in a little bit. But again, I do like Sea Red quite a bit, so I'm going to give it a 2. I think that's a completely reasonable draft pick. Something I'd be happy to see somewhere between like 7 and 8. I'd be looking to pick one of those up. Probably not, or maybe 6th pick if the packs are weak. But anyway, next card. Merfolk Mistbinder. The old Merfolky Lord. Merfolk Mistbinder is 1 green and 1 blue for a Merfolk Shaman. It has power 2 and toughness 2. And it just says that other Merfolk creatures you control get +1/+1. That is stellar. I will tell you this much, however, context is always important and limited. The Merfolk deck has gotten substantially weaker in this block. By a wide margin. It was widely considered that if it was open, the Merfolk deck was the best deck to draft in Ixalan. I was never a big fan of it because I thought that knowledge was widely available to everyone, and so at the tournaments and events that I went to, I always felt like it was overdrafted pretty much at almost every table I've been in. However, I will say that it is substantially weaker. A lot of the really great payoff cards were in Ixalan, and now that we're only getting 1 pack of Ixalan, it is a lot harder to pick up those stuff to make that deck work. Even so, I'm still going to rank Merfolk Mistbinder. Merbinder. Sounds like we're bringing back that race.
Metal Band.
Metal Band. Which you should definitely check out. You should check out some of the Metal Band videos that we've been doing. But for sure, I think this card is a 3. Again, it would be a card that I'm happy to first pick if I think that it's going to be, if I'm in pack 2 and I've already got some good Merfolks. This is certainly something that I feel comfortable moving in on, but I think a 3 is about where I'm willing to put this card. This is not something that I want to first pick. It's 2 colors, which again makes it very difficult, going into your next couple packs with a multicolored card. It's not a multicolored bomb. Like something like Zakama, for example, I'm happy first picking because I was like, this is powerful enough that I can make it work. But again, Merfolk Mistfinder gets a 3 for me. The multicolor thing works against it, and unfortunately the deck has sort of fallen out of favor in the last release of Rivals. So, but again, still a great card. If it's pack 1, pick 1, and you're telling me I can pick between Stormfleet Swashbuckler and Merfolk Mistbinder, that's going to be a tough pick for me. So, on to our next one, Sadistic Sky Marcher, which is 3 mana, 2 colorless, and a black for a 2/2 vampire soldier with flying and lifelink. However, there's a nice little additional clause. As an additional cost to cast Sadistic Sky Marcher, reveal a vampire card from your hand or pay 1. Gross. So this card is really only good in the sort of super, not aggressive, but the super deep vampire decks. Like, I wouldn't want to play this unless I had at least 8 vampires. 8 other vampires, to be completely honest with you. Because then you're paying 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer with lifelink. And that's bad. To be honest, this is no Vampire Nighthawk, for those of you that drafted Zendikar Limited, that was a 3 mana 2/3 with flying and lifelink and death touch. and you are guaranteed to cast it on 3. Sadistic Sky Marcher is a fine card. It is a passable card in the vampire decks, but it's not something I'm particularly excited to pick up at any, really. Like, I mean, I'll grab it if I see it and I know that I'm playing the vampire deck, but like, if I'm drafting like blue-black control with a bunch of sailor memes to, you know, cast different things, or if I'm in black-red pirates, Sadistic Sky Marcher is not something that I'm interested in. Because of that, I think it gets a 2. It gets a 2 because of how strong it is in the vampire deck, and it's still a creature that you can play if you're not in that vampire deck, but I'll be honest, I don't think it's any better than Sea Red. So it gets a 2. On to our 5th one. This has been a very, like, this has been a nice sort of, like, middle of the road hot seat. You know what I mean? This has been like, but this is my favorite kind of hot seat because we can sort of examine these interesting cards, these role players, these like the stuff that normally gets shuffled, skidooch, under the rug, as it were, in deck building. But it's fun to talk about these kinds of things because they're important to your deck and how you construct it. You ready for this last one?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, let's see what it is, and it's, well, oh boy, so much for our nitty gritty in the trenches workhorse style draft cards. We're going with the Tom Brady, the nuclear bomb, the man itself, or the beast horror itself. Ravenous Chupacabra, which is 2 colorless and 2 black for a 2/2 beast horror creature. And then when Ravenous Chupacabra enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. I mean, at this point I'd be beating a dead horse to tell you how good Ravenous Chupacabra is, but you know what? Let's get that gavel. Because we're going to beat the dead horse some more, boys. No, this card is absolutely obscene. This is the best that Necrotal has ever been. There is no, like, this can destroy black creatures, it can destroy artifact creatures, it can destroy everything. It gets better with stuff like Recover or Bounce spells or Blink spells. God forbid you have Siren's Ruse in your hand when this thing is in play. I've seen that happen before, and that is disgusting. They're just like, oh, I'll play a creature. You're like, cool, response. I blink my Ravenous Chupacabra. Ta-da! Yeah, this card is abusive in every sense of the word. Truly a card that is worth drafting early. This is like what you want to see. Pack 1, pick 1. I give it a 4.5. I give it a 4.5. It is stronger than something like River's Rebuke from regular Ixalan, which I would rank somewhere around a 4. This card is just value. Have you ever played against this card?
I've played against it and with it.
I was going to say, I've played with this in a deck that had access to bounce spells and recover. There is nothing more depressing than like being able to recur your Ravenous Chupacabra 3 times in a single game. You just feel like you've just won. I mean, truly, this is the best card. It's probably the best card that we've seen in any of our hot seats to date. Rivals or otherwise. I think this is probably the best. I think the only uncommon in this block that I can see potentially being better than Ravenous Chupacabra is Charging Monster Sword. And solely because that card was busted. But yeah, I think Ravenous Chupacabra gets a 4.5. It can't win the game on its own, but man, oh man, if you have any type of relevant anything else, it will probably win you the game with the assistance of that other stuff. But that's it. Those are our 5 cards for this episode of Rivals of Ixalan Hot Seat. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Enjoy yourselves. Liam, any thoughts on these cards? Any thought on Rivals as a whole? Have you been enjoying Rivals? I guess that's a good question.
I have been enjoying Rivals, and I'd actually like to know if our viewers have been enjoying Rivals. It's I think it breathed some life into Ixalan that it desperately needed.
Mm-hmm. Ixalan went from being like one of my least favorite formats to draft, and now I'm actively looking forward to drafting more Rivals. I feel like I haven't drafted enough of it because our store has moved on to Masters 25.
And by the time this video airs, we're going to be so close to Dominaria, we'll have something huge to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And oh man, I really can't wait to do the hot seats for Dominaria.
I'm all nostalgia all the time. Dominaria, I think, like many Magic players, Dominaria was the first plane, for me. And you know the old adage, you never forget your first. I'm pretty pumped for it. I'm not gonna lie. Dominaria, bring it on. Let's go. We got Jaya Ballard coming back, which is just that's enough to get me hyped. Man, the OG Red Planeswalker. Let's go. But that's it for Draft Hot Seat, folks. You have a wonderful day. Continue to be awesome. Peace.